My friend Marcus called me on a Tuesday afternoon in March 2023. He was 34. He just logged into his brokerage account and was staring at a portfolio with 27 different funds his advisor had carefully crafted for him over 6 years. His total annualized return, 4.1%. The total US stock market over that exact same period, about 12%. He wasn't behind because of bad luck. He wasn't behind because he didn't earn enough. He was behind because someone convinced him that complexity was the same thing as strategy. And here's the part that floored me when he told me. He was paying 1.2% in fees every year for that underperformance. On a $200,000 portfolio, that's $2,400 disappearing silently every single year. Not compounding for him, just gone. I'm going to show you exactly what I told Marcus that afternoon, because it changed everything for him. You don't need 27 funds. You don't need an advisor taking a cut. You don't even need to be a finance person. You need 5 ETFs. And in the next 10 minutes, I'll walk you through exactly which 5, what makes each one earn its place in your portfolio, and how to split them based on where you are right now so you can get to financial independence faster than you think. Let's get into it. Here's the system. 5 ticker symbols, 1 clear allocation, 1 goal. Financially independent, retire early. Each fund has a specific job. Together, they give you total US market exposure, global diversification, concentrated growth and innovation, an asymmetric upside position, and for those who need it, stability. All for an average blended expense ratio that is nearly invisible on your returns. This isn't about getting rich fast. It's about building a machine that compounds quietly every single month while you live your life. Here's how it works. Here's what's actually happening out there. Studies consistently show that over any 15-year period, roughly 90% of actively managed funds fail to beat a simple index fund. 9 out of 10 professional fund managers with Bloomberg terminals, research teams, and decades of experience cannot outperform the market consistently net of fees. So why are millions of people paying them to try? Here's the real cost in dollar terms. Someone investing $1,000 a month for 25 years in a high-fee actively managed fund averaging just 6% annually after fees ends up with around $692,000. That same $1,000 per month in a simple low-cost ETF portfolio averaging 9% per year, about $1,127,000. Same income, same discipline, same 25 years. A $435,000 difference, and that gap is not talent, it's structure and fees. The 5 ETFs, fully explained. ETF number 1, VTI, Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. This is the engine, the foundation, the thing that carries the most weight in this portfolio, and honestly, in a lot of serious long-term investors' portfolios. VTI tracks the CRSP US Total Market Index, which means it holds every publicly traded US company, over 3,500 of them, from Apple and Microsoft near the top, all the way down to mid-cap and micro-cap companies you've never heard of. When one of those smaller companies becomes the next big thing, you already own it. You captured the entire ride. Now, you'll ask why not just the S&P 500, and honestly, you can. The performance difference is small, but VTI includes mid-cap and small-cap companies that aren't yet in the S&P 500. If they grow into it, you've been along for that entire journey. I like owning the whole market. The expense ratio is 0.03% per year. On a $100,000 investment, that's $30 a year, basically free. As for returns, since its inception in 2001, VTI has averaged around 9.5% per year. Over the last 10 years specifically, with dividends reinvested, it's averaged closer to 14.5% annually. Long-run average across all market conditions, roughly 10 to 11% per year. Allocation recommendation, 45 to 55% of your portfolio. This is your core growth engine. ETF number 2, VXUS, Vanguard Total International Stock ETF. Here's what most US investors ignore: the rest of the world. VXUS tracks the FTSE Global All-Cap ex-US Index, which means it holds over 8,500 companies across developed and emerging markets, Europe, Japan, South Korea, India, Brazil, and dozens of others, all in one fund. You get global economic exposure with a single ticker. The US has dominated global markets for 2 decades, but economic cycles rotate, currency dynamics shift. Emerging markets can surge in ways that US-only investors completely miss. VXUS makes sure you're positioned for those cycles too, without you having to predict them. Now, expense ratio. This is where I want to be precise because a lot of sources get this wrong. VXUS has an expense ratio of 0.05% per year. Still extraordinarily low, but it's not 0.03, that's VTI. Performance-wise, VXUS has historically averaged around 5 to 7% annually over long periods. But it's worth noting, in 2025 and so far in 2026, VXUS has significantly outperformed US funds, a reminder that past underperformance doesn't mean future underperformance. Allocation recommendation: 15 to 20% of your portfolio. This is your global hedge.
ETF number 3, QQQ. Invesco NASDAQ 100 ETF. This is your growth accelerator. QQQ tracks the NASDAQ 100 index, the 100 largest non-financial companies listed on the NASDAQ. Think Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Tesla. These are the companies driving the majority of global technological and economic change right now. Important update on fees. Invesco recently reduced QQQ's expense ratio from 0.20% to 0.18% as part of restructuring the fund from a unit investment trust to a standard open-end ETF. That's still slightly higher than the Vanguard funds, but for what you're getting, it's still very reasonable. On returns, let me be specific here because the numbers are often cited inaccurately. Since QQQ's inception in March 1999, its average annual return has been 10.65%. That includes the dot-com crash, the 2008 financial crisis, and the 2022 rate hike sell-off. Over the last 10 years specifically, QQQ has averaged around 19 to 20% per year, one of the strongest runs of any major ETF in history. Now the risk: when the market drops 20%, QQQ can drop 35 to 40%. It's volatile. You need to be able to hold through that without panic selling. But if you believe that innovative technology is where global wealth creation is headed over the next 20 years, and the evidence strongly suggests it is, then having a slice of QQQ in your portfolio could meaningfully pull forward your retirement date. Allocation recommendation: 10 to 15% of your portfolio. Enough to matter, not so much it keeps you up at night. ETF number 4. FBTC, Fidelity Wise Origin Bitcoin Fund. Stay with me for a second. Bitcoin has survived over 400 declared obituaries. It has outlasted thousands of competing cryptocurrencies, multiple regulatory crackdowns, and exchange collapses. And today, it sits on the balance sheets of sovereign governments, Fortune 500 companies, and major institutional investors. This isn't fringe speculation anymore. It's a maturing asset class. The reason I'd point to Fidelity's FBTC specifically out of all the spot Bitcoin ETFs now available is that Fidelity self-custodies the underlying Bitcoin through their own digital assets division. They don't rely on third-party exchanges or custodians. For a long-term hold, that matters. The expense ratio is 0.25%, higher than index funds, but among the lowest for any Bitcoin ETF, where some charge 1% or more. As for performance, FBTC launched in January 2024, so it doesn't have a long track record as an ETF, but Bitcoin as an asset has outperformed virtually every other asset class since 2009. Conservative long-term projections from institutional analysts suggest 10 to 15% annually going forward, alongside significant volatility. Bitcoin can and does drop 40 to 60% in bear markets. You have to be prepared to hold through that. At 5 to 7% of your portfolio, if Bitcoin went to zero, which I don't think happens, but hypothetically, your retirement is not derailed. And if it continues anywhere near its historical trajectory, that small slice meaningfully boosts your outcome. That's the asymmetric bet. Defined downside, open upside. Allocation recommendation: 5 to 7% for most people, up to 10 to 15% if you have deep conviction in Bitcoin as a long-term asset. ETF number 5, BND, Vanguard Total Bond Market ETF. I'll be direct. If you're in your 20s or 30s with a 20-plus year runway to retirement, you probably don't need this right now. Bonds are stabilizers. They reduce volatility, they generate fixed income, and they protect you when equities sell off hard. But that stability comes at a cost. It limits your growth. Bonds are for wealth preservation, not wealth acceleration. That said, I know not everyone can watch their portfolio drop 30% in a correction and hold steady. If that's you, BND exists for that reason. BND tracks the Bloomberg U.S. Aggregate Bond Index and currently holds over 17,400 investment-grade securities, U.S. government treasuries, corporate bonds, and mortgage-backed securities, not 11,000 as is often cited. The fund has grown significantly. Expense ratio, 0.03%, the same rock-bottom cost as VTI. Long-run return, the U.S. Aggregate Bond Index has averaged around 4 to 5% annually, roughly keeping pace with inflation in some periods, lagging it in others. It won't build wealth fast, but it won't keep you awake during market corrections. Allocation recommendation, 0% if you're young and aggressive, 10 to 20% if you need to dampen volatility, up to 40% if you're within 5 years of your target retirement date and shifting into capital preservation mode. 3 portfolio models. Aggressive, 20s to early 30s, 20-plus year horizon, VTI 50%, VXUS 20%, QQQ 15%, FBTC 15%, BND 0%. Balanced, moderate risk tolerance, okay with a slightly longer timeline, VTI 45%, VXUS 20%, QQQ 10%, FBTC 10%, BND 15%. Conservative, stability first, still pursuing early retirement, VTI 40%, VXUS 20%, BND 40%. Your exact percentages don't have to match one of these precisely. The framework is what matters. Understand what job each fund is doing and size accordingly. 3 rules that make this actually work. 1. Rebalance once a year, maximum twice. Research consistently shows that the more frequently investors adjust their portfolios, the worse their returns. Set your allocation, fund it consistently, and leave it alone between rebalance windows. 2. Automate every contribution. Set up automatic transfers into your 401k, Roth IRA, and brokerage account. The best investment strategy is the one that requires no willpower to maintain. 3. This is your accumulation portfolio, not your retirement portfolio. As you get within 5 to 10 years of your target retirement date, you'll gradually shift. Reduce QQQ exposure, reduce FBTC, increase BND. Right now, you're building. Later, you'll be preserved. Those are 2 different modes and they require 2 different allocations. You now have that structure. Drop a comment and tell me which portfolio model fits where you are right now. Aggressive, balanced, or conservative. I read every one. And if you want to track all 5 of these in one place and see your actual asset allocation broken down by sector, expense ratio, and benchmark performance, link is in the description. It's free and it'll show you exactly how close you are to where you need to be. See you in the next one.